Hello and welcome to Market House, the podcast where we talk all things Disney. My name's Caleb.
And I'm Caitlin.
And this week we talk about DCL deposit changes.
Disney Starlight updates.
And we share when Disney trips go wrong. Let's dive in. All right, and this is episode number 181.
Welcome back as always, everybody.
Welcome back. Another week completed. Hopefully you're doing well at home. We have been just doing the same old, back to work, somewhat healthy. I still get stuffed up once in a while for some random reason. Then I feel normal, and then I'll just get stuffed up again. So I don't know. This has slowly turned into like a sinus infection thing. I used to get those a lot growing up. So I really hope
Hopefully not.
it doesn't.
Yeah.
But hopefully you're staying healthy at home. I know a lot of stuff is going around, which is never fun. You know, the sign of sickness going around is when you go to check out at Target and all the end caps at the front of the store are Kleenex boxes and cold medicines. I'm like, ugh.
Especially like having a cold during the summer. It just doesn't feel right.
No,
You know?
it's 90 degrees outside and you're like, oh, hey guys. So anyways, that's what we've been up to. Kind of back to normal, doing grocery shopping. Actually, grocery delivery.
Yes.
Guys, I think we've talked about this before. It's game changing because the amount of time it takes to, you know, get the little one in the car and everyone gets ready and we go to whatever and we shop and it's just so much work to do something that's already not very fun. If you have the ability to order food to your house, it's amazing.
It is.
What I won't do is do that stinking Instacart though.
It's expensive.
Things will be, I've never done it. I've only done it once and it was this weird pickup, very unique situation. But other than that, when you look and you're like, a bag of chips is $9.98.
Yeah.
There's something wrong. That's wild.
I have a couple friends who use it and they love it, but they're all like, well, it kind of is more expensive per
kind
item.
of. It's insanely
But
expensive.
you're able to get like Costco delivered that way.
I get it.
And
I just can't, knowing that I'm paying a substantial increase, I can't wrap my hand around doing that.
I know.
I mean, my time's valuable. It's not that valuable.
I know.
You know?
Yeah. I don't know where we're at right now.
I don't know. Just trying to make arguments for delivery of food. Hopefully you're doing well. Hey, before we dive into today's news, or this week's news, we have a Patreon. MarketHousePodcast.com/support is where you can find out more information on that. We'd love to have you join us. We have an amazing group of supporters over there who get bonus episodes, exclusive content from us. And this last episode we posted were our thoughts on the recent Disneyland Forward expansion news.
Yeah.
So the Eastern, what do you call it? Eastern parking lot, Eastern gateway. Is that what they're calling it? Something like that. With the Encanto news, not Encanto. Coco. I don't know.
Coast.
one of those movies.
The Coco news, the new entrance to Disneyland, and as well as Monsters Inc., so on and so forth. So we covered everything there. So definitely check that out if you're interested.
Yes. Also, share this episode with a friend. If you've got a friend that likes Disneyland, if you want to plan a trip, if you want to get them hooked on something that is Disney adjacent, get them over to this podcast. We'd love to have some more listeners. It's always fun to share the love of Disney with friends. All right. Consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Both are a huge help to the show. Also, please do that. I don't know where my head's at. 5 stars over on Spotify, 5 stars with a written review on Apple Podcasts would be amazing. Okay, let's get into the news.
Let's do it.
All right, for our first news story, we're headed over to the High Seas Disney Cruise Line. One of our favorites.
Yes.
Love that thing. They quietly updated the deposit required at booking. So it used to be 20%. So when you would book your cruise, you'd put down 20% of the total fare, of the cruise fare or whatever. And then you had a certain amount of months. I think, what's the math on that? I think like it's due 3 or 4 months before your cruise sailing.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, your sail date, excuse me. So you have a little bit, right? So if you're booking like a year and a half in advance, you have like a year to start, you know, to put this money aside and then put the rest of the amount down to pay off the cruise. So that's always kind of a nice system. Now they've reduced the required deposit to 10%.
Which is awesome.
So they've halved it. It's awesome. I mean, you're still paying the same amount of money for the cruise, of course.
But you don't have to have it all up front.
Yes. So it's just a little less painful when you're initially booking that cruise, a little less coming out of your pocket immediately for that sailing. So good news, I guess. It's kind of like, again, it's not like prices are going down. It's just what's required at the front end is a lot less. So interesting. What do you think?
I think it's great.
You think it's fine?
I'm never really involved in that process.
That's true.
That's all you.
By the way, these are for sailings booked on or after June 18th. So, I mean, we're well past that now. So any kind of sailing or booking, it'll only be 10% of the cruise fare due at first booking.
All right, for our final news story, we have some exciting news. Disney has just released some new information regarding the new nighttime parade, Disney Starlight, Dream the Night Away.
Yes, reminder, this was originally announced at D23 last year. So it's been a little bit since we've gotten some updates. We've seen little sneak peeks here and there. We've seen some concept art, what have you. But now we've got some more solid, concrete information about this new show coming to Magic Kingdom. The show is set to debut on July 20th. Show times are going to be 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. That's a late parade, right?
Yeah, but actually, I kind of like the idea of having a late parade, though.
Okay, why?
Yeah, because I mean, if you don't have littles or you have older kids, being able to stay that late and not have to worry about getting it in earlier, you're able to do your own thing while everyone else is in that earlier
What time? Do you remember what time Paint the Night starts over here?
I think it's 9.
Is it 9?
I think it's 9.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay, in my head, I had it like, I guess that makes sense because the sun doesn't go down over here until like 8:30.
Yeah.
So, wow, that's wild. So, okay, some late show times there. They also released some pictures of the new Disney Starlight merchandise. What do you think about it? It's very purple. I'm not a huge purple fan, so I immediately was like, meh.
I think it's fun. I will say I love like kind of the theme that they're going for. It looks very like animated, like someone drew it on the actual, like for example, the ears. I love that look. And then the concept art of like the poster for the actual Starlight show is like, really cool.
So they showed the poster's very cool. That is the poster that's going to be shown at the Magic Kingdom, like the train station in the front. You know how you walk through the tunnels and they've got the art on the side, the posters. That will be featured there. So they did release information on that. So if you want to go see that, go to Disney Parks blog to see what that poster looks like. It's very, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to the food that's going to be offered. They have a new Disney Starlight popcorn mix available at the Main Street Confectionery. This is straight from Disney. Guests can enjoy a Starkiss mix of bubblegum and blue raspberry candy popcorn, M&M's milk chocolate candies, mini marshmallows, and white chocolatey drizzle.
The bubblegum is very interesting.
Sounds disgusting to me. For like a 7-year-old, I'm sure it sounds delicious.
I'm sure it looks really pretty too.
It looks very pretty, but I don't know about that bubblegum and blue raspberry popcorn. Just give me some solid chocolate-covered popcorn, and I'm all down.
They have that, I think, or is it Epcot? They
I don't
have
know.
that?
Yeah,
they have it somewhere.
They have caramel corn there, I know.
Yeah, no, but there's somewhere in Walt Disney World property where you can get like that bucket and you can get like M&Ms in it and you can do like your own like drizzle.
Oh, yes, you're
over
right.
it.
I'm remembering this. It looks very good. Okay, a new original song was written for the parade that features some hidden Disney park favorites woven in. So they said to keep kind of listen very carefully to hear some nods to Disney attractions and stuff. That sounds fun. And the concept art and everything else we've seen makes it look very, very, very fun. So I can't wait to see some videos. We'll probably cheat and watch it from home because we're not really planning a major Disney World trip for a while. So we won't be able to see it firsthand for quite a bit. But I can't wait till the day we can because all of what I'm seeing looks very good.
I know. I can't wait.
It's like the East Coast version of Paint the Night, which I'm all for.
And I love like just like the overall look of how they're going with the theme, like the Starlight, the font of it. It's so silly, but like it's so cool.
It's cool. It's part of it. And then finally, you can, if you want to be kind of, what do you call it? Spoiler, if you want to be spoiled, I guess, of what characters are included on the parade, you can go see that. They released a whole character list of who you can see in the parade.
No way.
I didn't want to read it, to be honest, because I don't want to know.
What?
I don't know. I kind of want to be surprised and see it. There's a story.
It's going to get ruined for me because I'm on Instagram and everything. I'm going to look at the list.
Okay, look at the list. It looks very good. Disney Starlight coming soon. All right, that brings us to our main segment of this week's episode, and that is when Disney trips go wrong.
This is going to be such a fun one.
Okay. So we know that Disneyland and Walt Disney World trips can be filled with magical memories and happy moments, but if we're being real, they can also be filled with the not-so-fun moments. A child loses their new toy, parents losing their cool in the Southern California heat or Florida heat, a favorite ride breaks down right when you get on it, and the list goes on. There's a lot that can go wrong during a Disney trip. We are well aware of that. We've experienced it firsthand, so we thought it would be fun to share some of our personal Disney horror stories and some that we found online from some very disappointed people that shared their stories online. They thought it was that good to share it online and post it. Just things go sour. Things don't go very well sometimes. And that's okay. That's the nature of vacations. We pick ourselves up, we brush ourselves off, and we go and have some fun.
Yeah, this episode's gonna be filled with humor, and it's just all for good fun. So.
I'm gonna be honest here. Originally, the idea was we were gonna start talking about some way more morbid stories from Disneyland. There
Not like crazy.
No, there's unfortunately been some
things
that have happened. I'm not gonna say because kids listen to this, but people have expired at the parks, unfortunately, due to crazy freak accidents.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is insanely rare. So much so that you can count on one hand how many stories you can really find online. I initially wanted to share those because I find it interesting, but then I reminded myself, Caitlin reminded me, kids listen to this, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, I don't know if we want to have a whole entire story of just like death at Disney. So I quickly threw this away and thought we can do a more lighthearted version.
Maybe we can do it like on Patreon or something.
Yeah, maybe if you want to hear about
let us know.
Death. Come to our Patreon. Okay, let's talk about our personal stories. Again, let me preface this by saying we're lucky enough that we haven't honestly had, knock on wood, please, knock on wood, we haven't had like a trip get absolutely derailed. We've had like minor inconveniences happen, some silly things where you're like, oh, this is not fun. But then the trip is overall like a fun time.
Right.
And I think most people actually have that experience. It's like, oh, a couple things here and there that are very annoying, or, little one stubs his toe or whatever. Those things, but then the trip's not ruined.
Right.
Some people, when we get into the online stories, I feel so bad because their trips were genuinely ruined. These, what we're about to share, are just like,
it's just funny.
That's a bummer. Okay, let's talk about it.
Let's do it.
First one is, let's just start off like in chronological order in the very beginning here.
Just a little embarrassment for yourself.
My first trip to Disneyland was with my family rewind. My first trip to Disneyland was with friends. And so I went with a family friend, and it was a blast, right? I was like 11-ish years old. And so the next year, after I've talked about it nonstop and talked about it with my family, my parents were like, oh my gosh, we have to take the kids. Caleb loved it. I'm sure the other boys will love it too. Of course we did. So we went to Disneyland by this point, I was probably 12. And I was very confident. I'll just say that in my knowledge. My parents, of course, being new to the Disneyland park, picked up park maps, and I was like, I don't need that. I've been here for 3 full days, folks. I got it. So I was like the family tour guide. So I'm really confident. Mind you, it is the middle of July. For some reason, we were possessed to go in like on July. I don't even know what it was. It was freaking hot. So Southern California, it's 95 degrees, 11 UV index. It's very hot. So everyone's patience is pretty much gone by 2:00. So I think this is post lunch and maybe second or third day or something. And my parents said, we want to go on It's a Small World for my youngest brother. At the time, he was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old, maybe. And so I'm like, yeah, got it. Let's go. I'll take you for a little tour. So we're walking through the Disneyland park. I'm pointing over here. By the way, there's a shortcut through Frontierland right here. And I was really into it. By that point, I had been reading books and all this stuff. Mind you, I'm 12. So we're walking, and I somehow hit a point in Fantasyland where I have no idea where I'm going. I don't know if I should go left. I don't know if I should go right. So I, by that point, had probably taken them in circles a few times. My dad's getting a little irritated because he's like, you told me where we were going. So he had to take open the map. It was a moment of like, he had to take a couple breaths. He went and sat at a different table to figure out where we're at. My mom was like, Caleb, come sit by me. We'll let him cool down a little bit because everyone's just fried. We're really hot. We're really impatient. And so we finally got our bearings, and I was like, oh yeah, you're supposed to go over here.
Knowing you were in like New Orleans Square or something.
I was like, if you look to the right, you can see the rivers of America. Wait, you can't see this from It's a Small World? So overconfidence can bite you in the butt. And I figured that out at the ripe age of 12. So again, it didn't derail the trip, but might have caused some
it's a good laugh now.
frustration for 30 minutes there. Let's talk about our time at the line for Muppet Vision 3D.
Speaking of good fun, we were having so much fun.
This is I'm sorry, let's set the scene. We are in Disney World. Mm-hmm. This is our trip in April of 21, right?
Okay.
Things are just kind of starting to open back up a little bit from the pandemic.
Yeah.
You had to wear masks everywhere, outside, indoors, everywhere. So that's the situation we're in. 4 or 5 day trip, I think. to Disney World.
Yeah.
We're in Hollywood Studios going to Muppet Vision 3D.
Yeah, so this was my first time here to experience the show, and I was super, super excited. And I remember the line was super long. We were waiting outside forever. And again, we're super hot because, again, Walt Disney World heat. And I have a little like fan, both of us do, and we're just fanning ourselves because it's super hot. And I remember just like looking around, like all the people, and all of a sudden the door to the showroom opened up, and I got so excited. I like turned my head really quick to see what was going on. Well, as I turned my head back to be like, Caleb, like we get to go inside, I moved my hair just a little too close to the fan and got my hair stuck.
It like
in the
sucked
fan.
it right up.
And not a little bit of my hair. It was a lot of my hair.
A lot of it.
So much to where when Caleb looked at me and I was like, oh my goodness, he was like, literally his mouth was open and like, I have no idea how to help you.
It ate it up. It was like, yeah, not minor. It was, I legit for a second, I thought I was going to have to cut parts of your hair off because I'm like, dude, you got it like jammed up in there. Use those cheap little, like from Amazon fans.
Yeah.
So it's exposed blade and everything. So anyways, it did a number on your head.
I remained like pretty calm.
You ripped out a big chunk of your head because at the end it was just stuck and you said,
but you got to go. I got to see the show.
And I think there was some teenage girls behind you because they were laughing.
I think they were trying to help. I was like, no,
yeah,
I got it.
I'm not in the
I'm
mid.
determined to get this out of my head.
So that was a fun time. Okay, this brings us to another Disneyland story.
Let me start by saying this is my... This is my favorite story of all time. And we've told this story before, and I know it's your guys. Some of you are like, this is literally my favorite story to listen to you guys talk about. So this one's for you guys.
Okay. So this was not a proud moment of mine, but it is what it is. And I'm just going to say it because we're all family here. And I'm sure you're a nice person listening to this. So don't, whatever. Here we are. So we're in Disneyland. My stomach's very upset. I don't know what happened. I don't know if I ate something. I've got celiac disease, so I've got a gluten whole deal. So I don't know if maybe I got glutened. And you're laughing over there thinking it's real funny. What if
you did not get gluten?
I could have died. Caitlin.
It was not that.
Okay, so whatever. I must have eaten something that really upset my stomach. So I told Caitlin this before we got into the Grizzly River Run line. And it was the end of the night, end of the day. We were going to go back to the hotel and kind of nap or something. And I remember being like, man, my stomach does not feel great. And I will admit, I was acting like an 8-year-old kid. I was so excited to go on the ride. I should have probably gone to the bathroom.
And I kept telling you, let's go to the bathroom.
And so Caitlin reminded me, like a good person does, you probably should just go to the bathroom. Just go figure it out. And I was like, I don't want to. I think I'm fine. You know what? It went away. The cramping went away. I think I'm healed. So we get in line. And I can really tell this is not good. My stomach is cramping hard in line.
And before we get on the tube, I said one more time.
Yes.
You sure you don't want to go? You're like, oh, we've already waited in line.
No. We're at the turntable. If you've gone on the ride, you know that you walk on this like moving platform. It turns in this big circle. And at this point, I'm like, I'm not ditching right now. We had waited in line. And I'm like, no, Caitlin, we're in. Let's just do it. Let's just figure it out. I'll be fine. It comes and goes. So we sit down with these, again, I don't know what are these poor girls, probably middle school age, right? They sit across from us. Caitlin and I are next to each other. And, we're friendly. Hey, what's up? How's it going? And I right when I sit down, I'm like, this is a terrible mistake. Do you know when you get wet when your stomach's cramping? The sensation of this is wrong and I don't want to do this?
You get wet?
No.
No.
Your stomach hasn't hurt or something like that while swimming, and like water and your stomach cramping is not a mix.
No, I've never experienced
my body had a very negative reaction. I got the chills and I was like, this is not going to go well.
Oh, no.
So they probably thought I was crazy to begin with because I'm closing my eyes and like probably like squeezing the thing. Like,
and like yelling at me.
Okay. So we're going through the ride. Caitlin looks over at me. By this point, I'm going to crap myself. On Grizzly River Run because my stomach was hurting so bad. And of course, you're just getting dipped everywhere and there's water coming in. I'm squeezing my eyes and squeezing my seat so hard. I'm like, I'm going to get poop all over the place. And so Caitlin looks over at me and she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. Thank you very much. I don't want to talk.
In front of everybody.
I just didn't want to talk because I was focusing on not going to the bathroom. And so long story short,
No, don't you dare finish this yet. Then we get to the big drop. As we're like inching up to it, I'm like all excited. I'm like, woo, hold on, type of thing. Everyone's happy and smiling. And Caleb's like, Caitlin, I can't do this.
I legit was warning, like, this might get messy really quick. There might be more than water splashing
As
around.
we go down the waterfall or whatever it is, Caleb's like screaming, but I know he's not having fun. He's holding on for dear life.
Okay.
Oh God,
That's the end. So I was able to make it to the bathroom afterwards, and I think the rest of the trip went fine. So must have eaten a bad burger from Galactic Girl or something. But anyways, Grizzly River Run and needing to go to the bathroom. Not a great mix. Okay, let's move on from this. Let's head over to our rain story. So for Disneyland, we're going to keep it over on the West Coast. We had gone to the park in February, I want to say, with some friends and family. So my family and some friends of ours all thought, let's go to Disneyland together. It's going to be a blast, which it was, right? Going to the park with other people is always fun. But what was not so fun about it was I'm almost positive it was all 3 days.
the whole time.
Rained.
And the couple days prior and after. So it literally rained in SoCal for a week straight.
It was such a wet
unheard
year.
of.
This was a long time ago.
Yeah.
This was back when Aladdin was still in the Hyperion. This was a long 2000. I want to
I think it's
say 16 or 17
Yeah.
is what's coming to mind. So this is a while ago. Very weird the amount of rain they got.
Yeah.
It was dumping, and so the park was soaked. We were soaked by lunchtime, and I remember standing in line for Aladdin at the Hyperion. The rain was coming sideways because it was so windy. So our jeans were soaked. We had umbrellas, and they kept like flipping open. It was miserable. Our socks were wet. Our shoes were soaked. And it was just one of those things where it was like, maybe the next day it's going to be a little better.
Mm-mm.
And it was rainy. So for the most part, rain at Disneyland's not honestly that big of a deal because it doesn't
Mm-mm.
rain that hard ever, really. And so even if it is going to rain, it's going to sprinkle. It'll come and go. Even if it is a pretty steady rain, it doesn't rain a ton in Southern
Yeah.
California. So it's pretty mild for the most part. This was a very weird situation. Not fun. Do not recommend.
And it was like flooding in the parks.
Yeah, it was flooding everywhere. So they
Yeah.
had, you see this all the time in Disney World because it rains crazy over there.
Mhm.
So they're always like squeegeeing the streets and getting the water and the
Yeah.
drains. They did that. They had to do that in Disneyland.
Yeah, which I've never seen before. But yeah, it was the type where we got back to the hotel, we had to take a hairdryer to our shoes because they were like just dripping.
Every day. It was
dripping.
bad.
Yeah.
So that was not so much fun. But
Yeah.
anyways, and then finally, this is of course a classic Florida story over in Disney World, Animal Kingdom. It was a torrential downpour.
It was supposed to sprinkle, which is what the weather app
Yes,
said.
and so we had dressed for the part, did not bring umbrellas, and we had gotten lunch. And so again, looking at the weather and stuff, we knew it was going to rain, but it said light rain expected for an hour or something like that.
Yeah.
So we're like, let's just grab some lunch and get out of the rain. It was insane.
It started out of nowhere. We were at Animal Kingdom. We got lunch at, is it Harambe Market?
Harambe Market, I think?
Yeah, we went there and out of nowhere. And again, for all of you that live in Disney World, whoever lives in Florida,
If you live in Magic Kingdom,
you know exactly what I'm talking about. It was literally out of nowhere. Like the rain there, it's like 1 second it's sunny and blue skies, and the next minute it's literally torrential downpour. Pouring down rain. I have never seen so many people running for their lives to get into the stores or just to take cover. And that was the other thing is I'm like, oh, we'll just pop into a store. Little did I know, I wasn't using my brain. Everyone else had the same idea.
Oh, God.
So literally people are shoving us trying to get into the store.
Yes.
This was the one that was like right after like in the middle or after the
No,
pandemic?
so it was the same one, April of 21.
Yeah.
And so we were still fresh of like, guys, we got to stay away from each other, but they're cramming us in this like covered space. So we're
was a
trying to
lot.
stay dry. Everyone's got their masks on. And then the cast members like, you got to separate. You can't be this close. And I'm like,
And no one's listening.
no one's
and-
listening. And like, people are like, I'm not going to go out there and get soaked though. So he was doing his job,
Yeah.
telling people to separate. But people were like, this is not possible. So it was wild. It was one of those like, I was kind of frazzled afterwards. Like that was kind of fun, but also I'm not really enjoying this.
For me, it was definitely a core memory though, because in the moment you're kind of like stressed out. But as you were walking out, as it's still raining, and try to get to the buses, it was one of those things where we were head to toe just soaked. And then it was like you couldn't do anything else but just walk back in the rain and laugh
Yeah.
because it was just
I think
like,
I washed my nostrils with hand sanitizer to kill the germs.
oh my God, ew.
That was a wild time. Do you remember? Like that was crazy.
That was nuts.
That was not
Especially at the
fun.
parks.
Yeah,
Like,
that
that
was.
was a
I don't even
lot.
know why we honestly did it. I think it was because we, of course,
we
found
missed it.
We did miss it a
Yeah.
lot. And I think we were at the time like comfortable enough to go like, hey, if we're outside and we got masks, like, okay, I think it's gonna be fine. But dude, it was hot. Like being in the sun was a mask.
Florida
on,
was a lot. Yeah.
really, 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 really hot.
Yeah, and then I remember. Do you remember when they said that you could take your mask down and
For
take
pictures. And I remember being like, heck
Whoa.
no, I didn't do that.
Oh, yeah, you
No,
Yes, you
I did not.
have pictures.
I refuse.
But anyway, I'm so glad where we are now. But anyway, that was definitely a core memory, and love the rain. It's
Love the
good.
rain. Okay, finally. Okay, so one just came to my head, and then we're gonna move on. I promise. Okay, so one really quick one was when I was at a work trip in Nashville. And I was texting you going, I'd love to go to Disney. I'm missing it. This is pre-Maddie, by the way. So we could do things spur of the moment. And I was like, I'm going to take you to Disneyland. And I booked a last minute flight for the day after I got back from my trip.
Yeah.
So I was going to fly in, sleep, and then the next day we're going to just fly out of Sacramento and go down to Disney for a few days. I must have had points or something because that doesn't sound like me. But
Yes, it does.
sometimes
Stop it.
sometimes I can get a little crazy, and that's as crazy as I get. So I was like, I miss it so much. We got to go. And I think I missed you so much because I was gone for a long time. And I was like, we need to do something fun. So on my way back home, though, my layover is in Denver, Colorado. In Denver, Colorado I think this was like October or something.
September.
When weather can get pretty dang nasty over there. Pretty much year round. You never know what's going to happen over there when you have a layover. Lots of cancellations, lots of delays in that airport. So of course, that's what I experienced. I was delayed 4 or 5 hours. I was there so stinking late. I didn't get into Sacramento until like 1 a.m. or something. And so by that point, I was like, this trip is ruined. I'm going to be a zombie the next day. I didn't get to bed till 3 a.m. We woke up. It ended up being a decent trip because I was so stinking tired from being gone for so long.
That was our first trip back too.
Yeah, in a
since
long
it was
time.
closed.
Yeah, you're
the parks
right.
were closed. So it was a big, like, we were
You're
excited.
right. And then we ended up leaving early.
Yes.
I think I like changed our flights last minute because I was so stinking tired.
Well, and not just that. Remember when like the parks first opened, which a lot of you remember, that was the time where like a lot of like the restaurants or like random stores were closed.
Yeah.
Like for example, like Starbucks in the morning, that didn't open one of the days we were there. And then on one of the other days, it didn't open until 1 p.m.
Yeah.
So it was like super random.
Yes. There was a staff problem.
And people were getting sick and they were taking them out. So it was all over the place. All this to say, things are going to come up. Things are going to happen on your trips. A lot of the time later on, it's going to be absolutely hilarious, whether it's in the moment or 2 months later. But just remember, it's the little things that, it's the little things.
A ride on whatever, on Ariel or something can just lift your spirits again and you can be right back in the magic. Let's hear some stories from online.
Oh my gosh.
Some other stories.
Good.
These are pretty rough. Not going to lie. Ours seem like a walk in the park compared to some of these stories. Let's dive in. First one is we parked in the Toy Story lot, but ended up at Mickey and Friends when trying to leave. If you're not a Disneyland normal, regular visitor, Toy Story lot is accessed by buses and off-site of Disney. The Mickey and Friends parking structure is right on site and you take a tram. So totally different parts. I don't know how this guy got mixed up. Took 90 minutes to find the car. We literally walked through downtown Disney, the tram area, and 2 hotels to get to the parking lot.
I can't imagine how frustrating that must have been.
I'm sure you're exhausted by that point after the parks. That's lame.
All right, next up. My kid threw his Lightning McQueen sippy cup into the water during Fantasmic. Oh. I made eye contact with a cast member who just sighed and said, "It's gone, let it go."
That's rough. Again, what possesses children to do certain things?
I think they're probably just excited in the moment. And they're probably like,
I'm going to chuck my thing in the water.
It was probably like, "Mickey, hello, look at my Lightning McQueen sippy cup.
Let me throw it to you."
Yeah. Right?
All right. He thought he had a really good arm.
Yeah.
I got so overheated building a droid, I fainted.
Oh, my.
Literally blacked out between R2 sounds and Kylo Ren yelling at me. Woke up with a cold compress and a First Order officer hovering.
What an experience.
Wow. Drink your water,
That's
guys.
sad.
Drink some water at the parks.
All right. Next up, a guest claimed that during a character meet and greet, Goofy tripped and fell onto her, causing a scene. She reportedly sued for medical expenses, though no ruling is publicly available
Okay,
yet.
is this wild? This is real.
No way.
Yes. Goofy apparently stumbled a little bit, ran into her. I don't know if she fell back and hit her head. This can be a legitimate complaint. I've got no idea. This is very little information, but this is an active case.
When did it happen?
She's suing a couple years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Not wild.
Honestly, though, I don't blame Goofy in the situation. The shoes that he has to wear, have you ever looked at them?
Yes. And then you look at Main Street and you look at the curbs and then you look at strollers and then you look at train tracks. There's so many things you can trip on. So no one's fault here. I think it was just an unfortunate circumstance, but that's wild. Imagine okay, if this is legitimate, imagine getting hurt from Goofy on your Disneyland vacation. That's got to stink. But imagine also the alternative, which is a lot of the case, is that people take advantage of a little mistake and they got bumped on the face, on the nose, oh, that kind of hurt. And then it's, I'm going to sue you for everything you're worth.
Yeah, hopefully it's not that.
Hopefully it's not that.
Yeah.
Our flight was canceled time and time again, and eventually we ended up driving from Atlanta to Orlando. Total expenses were $5,000 to $6,000. Delta gave us a $300 meal voucher. Nothing for our car, flight, or hotel.
No.
That's terrible.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, they yeah, they owe you a lot more than just a few $100 in meal
Right.
vouchers. So hopefully they got something at their-
Probably not.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
All right, next up, the ride breakdowns were ridiculous. Smugglers Run down 2 or 3 of the days that we were there. Rise of the Resistance was MIA most of the day. Remy's, what?
Remy's dead full day, then sporadic. What does that mean?
I don't know.
I think
Remember
Remy's was down for a full day, then sporadic.
Cosmic Rewind was down half the day. We were constantly reshuffling lightning lanes and sprinting to rides. Comical how unreliable the big rides were. Yeah, a lot of times like this does happen a lot, even currently. What was you just mentioned? There was a
Yeah. So I think a few days ago, as of the time of this recording, DCA apparently went through a terrible ride day. The park was super packed. There was tons of people. The Incredicoaster line went all the way back to the entrance of San Francisco Square, like the bridge right there. And then they had a bunch of rides went down. So the lines went insane when they opened back up. Guardians was down, Cars was down, Incredicoaster was down, Aerials was down.
That's insane.
It was bad.
And again, when you think about it, though, you might go, well, it's not a big deal. Well, it is a big deal because when all those rides are down, they're not feeding people.
Yeah, you've got tens of thousands of people just roaming the parks.
Exactly.
That's rough. Okay, next one.
All right, this next one is a little scary.
This one's, nothing violent though.
No, nothing violent, but I can't imagine this happening in this situation. At Disneyland, a child jumped out of a canal boat ride mid-ride and refused to reboard. The ride had to be stopped and everyone evacuated.
So I'm thinking Storybook Land canal boats.
Yeah.
Kid jumped out. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Keep your kids close
I can't
because they can do
imagine.
crazy things. Honestly, there's a lot of trust in these ride vehicles. That one you don't get strapped in.
Yeah, well, not just kids. There's a lot of people that do these things.
People tripping on illegal substances, going through It's a Small World.
And pirates.
Not clothed. Wild.
Like, just stay on the ride vehicle.
I know. That or like maybe do your recreational drugs at home. And don't go to Disneyland.
Okay.
That'd be my my advice. Okay. Day one of our Disney vacation, and we were at Hollywood Studios. My 14-year-old son had been complaining of stomach pain most of the day. Unusual for him because he's not one to complain, so I got him some Pepto thinking it was something he'd eaten. Sounds like me. Pain continued to worsen, and my son was now hanging onto my shoulders before standing upright, hurt. Suddenly, I just knew his appendix. We headed straight to guest relations. They bring us back to the nurse, and 10 minutes later, we're in an ambulance on our way to Celebration Hospital for a CT scan. After some tests, another ambulance took us to Orlando Children's Hospital, and 2 hours later, he was being wheeled into the OR for an emergency appendectomy. That's a vacation we'll never forget.
Poor
that
thing.
is terrible.
And at Disney.
I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh.
Whoever you are out there in the
I
world.
know.
That sounds terrible. I will not complain about my whittle crampy stomach.
Oh.
At least it wasn't a pen. Yeah, it's Maddie.
Okay.
Aw.
Next up, I lost my engagement ring on the Buzz Lightyear ride 3 years ago. I'm still upset. We've been married 40 years now, and all I have left is my wedding band.
That's sad.
Oh.
Darn.
God, I can't imagine.
I wonder if they tried their best. Disney's really good at this stuff. Of course, when they can close the ride down, or sometimes they'll say, come back tomorrow when the ride shuts down, we'll go through and try and find this prized possession.
Yeah.
Sometimes it probably just goes, especially a ring in that huge
an
thing.
engagement ring. And I'm trying to figure out how did that even happen?
Yeah, right? Maybe they're shooting really fast and that ring just popped right off.
Yeah, something.
Was there with my first wife. Not sure if we were married yet, engaged, or just dating, but we got to the entrance area, went to use the restroom at the entrance gates, and as I was returning to the entrance gate, three birds bombed me. I tried to jump out of the way of their missiles, but I got hit back to the restroom to clean up.
That's disgusting.
That's really gross.
Why do you include this?
Well, fun story. I got pooped on by a bird in high school.
Can you stop? No one cares.
And my friend said, your name is Birdman now. Yeah,
You're weird.
that's true. My nickname for the
Okay.
last 6 months.
We're not going to talk about that anymore. I had my Disney cruise get canceled because of Hurricane Dorian. It was like 2 hours of rain, literally nothing worth canceling. So my family was stranded in Orlando for 5 days until the land portion of my land and sea trip kicked in. And Disney was going to take 3 business days to refund our cruise money. So after talking to a million managers on the phone and raising absolute craziness with them, I finally got our family rooms at Pop Century for base pricing for like $30 a night. They also gave us meal vouchers for the whole family of 2, quick service for a day, and 2 days of park tickets for everyone.
Dang.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, really.
Right?
Yeah, they'll do crazy things like that for hurricane stuff. Like like that lady said or person said, they'll give you like some crazy rate to stay at the hotel. If it's dangerous to leave, they'll charge you like the bare minimum, which is pretty crazy. They don't have to do that kind of stuff, but it's very nice that they do. So those are some pretty crazy stories. Nothing like what we've experienced, thank God. Knock on wood. I'm actively, very silently knocking on wood right now. Some of these stories make us feel silly for complaining about the little inconveniences we've experienced at a Disney park. So be grateful for your trips. Let us know if you have any crazy Disney trip experiences. We would love to hear them. Message us over on Instagram or visit our website at markethousepodcast.com to share your story. We would love to share them with the world. So we might share them on a story or something. So share something you're willing to have read by more people than just us. And we'd love to do it.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
It would.
We can join and laugh at our own demises.
Or you guys can just comment on Caleb's Grizzly River Run story.
I'm good. Let's act like that didn't happen. Thank you so much for listening. You can find us over on Instagram and Threads at Market House Podcast. Make sure to follow us over there for pictures from the park and exciting news and announcements. Consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Both are a huge help to the show. We have a Patreon. Head over to markethousepodcast.com/support to get more information about that. We'd love to have you join us over there. That's amazing. What people do over there to support us is absolutely awesome. Remember to use our Getaway Today link for your future trip bookings. Check out the episode details for that link and use code MarketHouse10 to save an additional $10 on your vacation. Join us next week for another episode. It's been fun. It's been grand. It's been filled with bathroom breaks, cancellations, and birds pooping.
Okay. Bye.